Hi guys, welcome back. I'm doing the part 2 because some of you were talking about about continuing in part 1. So this is again, I'm going to restrict this to 7 minutes. At least that's the target time. And of course, if I'm continuing some part of what I am talking about, then I'll just continue till I get to a natural close. So I'm back here. We are talking about part 2 of your verbal ability reading comprehension process, and this will actually complete what I wanted to talk to you in the initial part of this thing. So we have talked about my story in the first one. Those of you watching this video as the first one, please go back and watch part 2 of this, part 1 of this, so that you get the context in which I am talking about here. So the question I wanted to structure, let's start the timer now. So the question I wanted to structure, or the question I wanted to ask myself as a trainer and as a mentor of students, what happened? If you look at my growth in comprehension, it happened while not trying to do it. So what are the components of that? Of course, everything that I did in those 4 years, specifically those 2 years that I am, did not really go towards my reading comprehension. There's so many other things that happened with my personality and with who I was. So what are the actual components that helped me change my comprehension? That's what I started investigating. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about. That if you want to structure and if you want to create that or a part of that experience in a 5-month framework, what should you do and how should you do it? So what should you do and how should you do it will come to later. Today's session, this session is about what are the components of what happened to me, which moved me from a 20 out of 50, which means I was getting only roughly half the questions I was solving right. Or if I was solving 6 questions, I was getting 3 right and 2 wrong, or 3 wrong, and that's why I was getting a 40% score in comprehension. So what are the components of that change? So please understand one thing, and this is something that I do talk to everybody about. Please understand one thing, that when you talk about language development, there are 2 parts or VRC development, and it could be for any exam. It could not just be for CAT. CAT of course is the toughest. CAT and ZAT are the toughest. The other exams like IPMAT, CLAT, etc. are easier, but then again the components of preparation remain same. Whether you're talking about IPMAT, CLAT, or SNAP, NMAT, and CET Maharashtra kind of exams, where the questions are slightly easier. The basic framework of English language development and English verbal ability reading comprehension development remains these 2. Improve your language, improve your solving. There are 2 parts to it. And of course, without improving your language, without having good quality language, you can't do good quality solving. That's a given. So one of the first things I tell students when they join Mindworks or they care to ask me about their VRC preparation, one of the first things, or I would be interested in knowing in a student, suppose the student is trying to understand where he is standing on reading comprehension. So one of the first things I want to know from him is what is his 100% accuracy timeline. What do I mean by this? What is his 100% accuracy timeline? And does he have one at all? What do I mean by this? Suppose I pick up, as a student, I'm trying to see how good I am at reading comprehension, or any of the other question types that are coming in verbal, whether it's odd man out or parajumbles or summaries. I want to know how good I'm at solving it. What is my ability level? So my first measurement, what people do is they straight away go into mock tests, and they straight away go into practice, and they start trying to practice under time pressure. So let's say there are 2 students, X and Y. Both of them get 3 out of 6 right. 50% right, and hence a 40% score, net score. So if they're giving a 100-mark paper, both of them are getting, let's say, or they're giving a 70-mark paper, both of them are getting around 25 marks out of 70, out of 78. So typically what happens is most people will tell them that do the same things. Don't लोग को ही बोला जाएगा कि same चीज़ करो. But what I would want to investigate, or what I would want the students to investigate, is how much time do you take to get 6 out of 6? And can you get to 6 out of 6? So suppose I remove the timeline, I remove the time pressure, and I say take as much time as you want, give me 6 right answers out of 6. So it might happen that for a single RC passage of 6 questions, X might take 20 minutes to get there, and Y might not be able to get to 6 by 6 at all. And Y's best case, even after 20 minutes or 25 minutes, is only 4 out of 6. So in that case, what this shows me that the ability of X is okay. He has got ability, he at least has the 100% timeline. Y does not have the 100% timeline at all. So if Y works on his speed, he is not going to improve his score at all. Whereas X just needs to work on his speed because he has got the methods and the mechanisms to get to that point where he can get 6 out of 6 correct. So for Y, the recommendation is to work on ability. For X, the recommendation is to work on speed and solving and thinking under pressure. That's the recommendation for X, and this is the recommendation for Y. And then when you start thinking about how to actually work on ability, speed, solving, and pressure based performance, of course, that goes into practice and more practice. So I don't need to tell you that. The question then becomes, how does one work on ability? And for ability work, this is what you have to do, basically. So you need to understand that how does language become tough? So language becomes tough on 3 dimensions. When you come across people who tell you that CAT ka RC was very tough and VA was very tough and the options were very close. So you need to understand that language becomes tough because of 3 things, 3 dimensions. The first dimension is how complex is the language written. Is it written in simple language or is it written in tough language? So if somebody is using tougher language to write, the language becomes more complex. So the difficulty level, the LOD increases if you go from low complexity to high complexity. The second part of it is length of sentence. How long are the sentences? So if you typically read a CAT passage or any of these top exams, GMAT or CAT or any of these top exams, you'll realize that your comprehension passages have an average sentence length of 40 to 50. Whereas if you read your regular Times of India or Indian Express or any Indian magazine, like India Today kind of magazines, you will see that the average sentence length is 10 to 20. So if you are always playing with 10 to 20 word sentences and suddenly inside the CAT you are facing complex language and 40 word sentences, you are out of your depth actually. So this is the second dimension. If sentences are short, the difficulty level is lower. If sentences become long, the LOD of the passage increases. And the third part is the familiarity of topic. How familiar are you with the topic? So if you get complex passages or complex language, long sentences, but you're familiar with the topic, you can still handle it. You can still wrestle with it. But if you've got unfamiliar topic, if your topic is unfamiliar, my time is up now. So if your topic is unfamiliar, then the difficulty level rises again. So these are the 3 dimensions. If your topic is familiar, these are the 3 dimensions on which difficulty level goes up. And hence, when you want to raise your ability, you will somehow or the other need to work with these 3 dimensions. So what happened to me in those 2 years that I am was by default these 3 things worked by themselves. So if you are wanting to execute this in a shorter time period, you execute ability improvement and comprehension in a shorter time period, you will somehow or the other need to work on these 3 dimensions. The ability to move topics from unfamiliar to familiar, which is in your hands, and I'll give you a deeper insight into this in part 3. The ability to move from understanding just shorter 10-20 word sentences to understanding 40-50 word sentences. I've even seen one sentence worth 70 words in the CAT, and I've not measured all the sentences in words, but I've seen 70 word sentences in the CAT. And the third is moving from ability to just understand simple words to obviously going towards higher words. And of course, to do this part, to be able to face this, you obviously need to develop your vocabulary, and you need to have systems to develop your phrasal verbs and idioms, etc. for the language, which will get you a better grip of what is being talked about. So ये तीन dimensions में तुमको अपने process of preparation को ले जाना पड़ेगा, and इन तीनों चीज़ को manage कर लोगे. So the moment you get comfortable with topics, comfortable long sentences, and comfortable with complexity, where not the complexity of Shashi Tharoor, but complexity where you are less bothered by complexity than your normal average student around you, you should be fine in this area. So that's what I wanted to talk about here. Just a reminder, I talked about this in the first one also. You can enroll for the Arun Sharma CAT Challenge series. This is we are very passionate about this test series 2021 ka, and it's personally curated by me. and we've got 56 full length mock tests, which include around 25 mocks, 7 replicats, 25 mock cats, and then exams for XLRE, ZAT, IFT, NMAT, and SNAP, all the testing requirements that you have. And you can visit www.mindworks with a double Z, that is .in, to enroll for this 18 sectional mock tests and the CAT scan methodology, which is personally developed by me for this. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and do comment on the video with respect to what you want me to do more with. Sometimes I am completely at loss कि अब क्या करना है YouTube पे, तो you guys can help me giving me the relevant topics which can be of assistance to all of you. Please do that all the time. Thank you so much. Bye bye.